Fans of the Holy Rollers Mystic podcast, I wish to apologize for our inability to put out episodes of them lately, but we've had some hard times in our community. There's been some loss, some deaths, and we are been mourning those things. So please accept this gift of a conversation that I, Pastor Sidney, had with Brother Anthony. And it kind of wanders, but I think it has a lot of interesting things to say. And we'll be putting the picture of the interesting parallel between hopscotch as a game and the tree of life as described in the Kabbalah, which will be something talked about. So stay tuned and please enjoy this in the interim before we get back online with our podcast. Thank you so much.
Anthony, thanks for coming. And thanks for having a conversation. We're just going to let the conversation flow where it goes.
Yes, sir. How you doing today, brother, sir?
Real good, Brother Anthony. Real good. I'm real grateful that we have these conversations. We're going to take a little bit of a detour today for the folks who've been listening. We're not going to do a section of the Gospel of Thomas this week. We're going to just do this. We have a conversation and see where the Spirit takes us.
All right.
Do you want me to talk about some of the things we were talking about earlier today, and maybe?
Yeah, it's kind of like you spark the conversation all the time. So
sure, yeah. I mean, one thing I'd like to maybe talk about. You know what? This is great. Would you be kind enough to talk about the relationship between Enki and Lil, and Yahweh and Baal, in relation to Anu and El? And Sophia in what she represents. The thing we were talking about a couple hours ago, an hour ago, and you were having a good conversation explaining the history of these gods and goddesses from the perspective of all these people of that area of the world and other parts of the world having parallel visions of these same kind of spiritual entities, if you will, or complexes of thought, or actual gods, if you let it go on to that. So, I'm sorry, that's a big introduction. Say what you think about it.
Well, see, I'd start first with Anu.
Yeah, with Anu.
Because Anu is the Sky Father, even though, of course, there are a few beings above them, which are the council of beings that are, you know what I mean, they're like emulations, they're like parts of the construction of the world, pretty much.
I see.
You know.
Which, and I'm just going on the side. The idea of archons, the idea of zodiac, the idea of, who the angels were when God was talking, let us build them in our image, that kind of thing. That's kind of these same figures that are now in perhaps different mythologies. So go ahead and say the luminaries you were saying.
Well, like Enki, for example, not Enki. Enki and Enlil, they're both sons of Anu, which was in Samaria as the Sky Father.
And it was also a god one of the first gods in Egyptian mythology, or religion or spirituality.
Yeah, because really, if you look at it, Egypt and Sumer they run hand in hand. They talk about certain things, like eventually when they built the civilizations, Enlil was given the right to rule. Because Enki was the creator because this is what it says, he created humans. So he was technically the creator. Uh-huh. And then Enlil was put above him as he was basically our ruler. And Enki was just there, you know what I mean? Being the wisdom. Eventually they conflict like all brothers do.
Right.
And Enki left and created the civilization of Egypt.
Interesting.
That's what it's told. Now, as far as Baal and Yahweh is comparison of they're both sons. All right, just like then you have El in the pantheon. El would be acting as Anu. They're both sky fathers.
Mm-hmm.
Just like kind of Zeus is another one you throw in there.
Sure, talk to that.
You know what I mean? They're all sky father figures.
Yes.
and they're all kind of obsessively jealous as well.
Yes.
Because Anu is jealous over his sons and the other children because they worship him. Like, for instance, Ishtar was one of his children. Ishtar falls in the pantheon. I can't remember which one it was. It was either Enki or Enlil, but she's direct descendant to one of them.
Huh. Continue that, if you want to.
So, yeah, in their respective pantheons, just like you got, for instance, you got people, Anana. People know her as Ishtar.
Yes.
All right, she's the goddess of love, war, and love, war. Yeah, love and war. But now, if you look at her counterpart, if you go to Egypt, it actually, I believe, it's the Nubians that have the Oratians. I can't even say their name. The Oratians.
The Orishas? Yeah. No. We have a friend who speaks to us about things. We made a couple of videos with a friend who I'm hoping to invite to talk to us, sometime together. Our friend DC. He participates in the Orisha religion directly. So we speak of West Africa, but that then probably interacts with Nubia on the way up the Nile to Egypt. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, pretty much. So you see this little line of all this stuff spreading out.
Nice.
So, like, I forget her name. I'll describe her attributes, though.
Yes.
She's the goddess of water.
Yes.
Love.
Yes. So soon.
And war.
Okay, this is going to be great, Anthony, because I was talking to DC just like a week ago or a couple of weeks ago, and he has just participated in a 3-day ritual. Or ritual's not even the word; it's bigger than a ritual ceremony. To bring Oshun, and he actually had a vision of Oshun. Isn't this crazy that you're bringing this up with no knowledge of that conversation? It just literally is in our lives right now to talk about. The goddess of water and beauty. Yeah, Oshun. She's the Orisha that you're talking about.
Yep. So you kind of see how where it all got an influence in there. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And then you would say, and then her counterpart in Greek would be Athena. Because Athena's broken down and under Zeus when her true self is really all three of them, I believe.
Lovely.
Because over history, you see in the beginning, she has all these attributes. Then you have Ishtar, where they took water from Ishtar and pretty much gave her the other two titles. And you can see with Athena, they broke it down even more.
Yes, she had a war element, but she was thought of as coming straight out of Zeus's head. She wasn't even given the credit of being her mother's son, or mother's daughter.
Yep, pretty much. That's exactly what it says. Prometheus hit Zeus in his head, and Athena came out.
Wow. So Prometheus being the kind of Luciferian wisdom, the rebel titan, really, from the old days.
Yeah, he's a titan. He's not a Olympian god. He's a titan. And that's where a lot of people get shit twisted with it.
So he's not so much a rebel as kind of like going to the people who rebelled against him, Zeus's pantheon, and helping their slaves, the humans, to have fire and to have knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
So, yeah, so in a way, the Greeks turned around and they spun it on his head.
Yes.
And turned it into kind of a broken down imprisonment type mind thought. You kind of get what I mean? So they kind of took the feminine, broke her down, and put her in a cage.
Yes. This is the kind of thing that we've talked about for years in the series of stories that I helped to write and that we're publishing parts of. The idea of theometry. It's the kind of mathematics that confines gods. It's over culture and stuff. That's what happened over there in Europe. They started imprisoning the feminine in these ways. And it's just interesting to see, as you look at the stories that you have a lot of knowledge of, and you see that it really was almost like the cultures were under the influence of very patriarchal forces, whether it be like the rulers of them or something else. It was putting them in a place of war, putting them in a place of competition, putting them in a place where the woman and the feminine has to be put down in order to be allowed there, because otherwise, I mean, what would they do? They just end up fighting forever and never having kids, never having anything else. This is the beginning of the patriarchy that the European powers put on the world over the period of colonialism. That really is what we're all up against now. I mean, even Donald Trump is in a way trying to be that kind of male figure that puts down women. It's weird.
And you can even see this, like if you go to the Americans. The Americans had a similar pantheon. They had a sky father and a mother.
Right.
So, like, and the sky father came and represented and came down, and you see him as he would take form as an eagle.
Yes.
When they did their rituals. So, like, if you take a lot of ancient knowledge and you dig it up, right, you can see it all in these different areas in different cultures all around the world. That's like a lot of people don't realize. Like, I know you heard of the chosen ones.
Yeah.
Well, for like instance, do you know the Athenians? It actually goes back to Greece. The Athenians used to think like that.
I see.
The Athenians thought that if you were an Athenian, that they were the chosen people. Everybody else was pretty much beneath them.
Right. Right.
So I can see where they got that thought from.
Was this kind of like, trickle down thing from where the, what ended up happening?
It was like a fiery hub of religion all going on in the Mediterranean, all at the same time.
Right. And the branch that went into Europe, like you have the experience of if you look at Greek philosophy is interesting because it comes from, knowledge. The Thales of Miletus was the first one who really brought Greek philosophy as a concept to his people and to the rest of Europe and to the world. A lot of great things came, a lot of schools of thought, a lot of brilliant things, women as well as men being really important philosophers throughout the time periods. It's interesting and beautiful stuff, but it really comes from a man who was really interested in Egyptian thought. And he literally took Egyptian thought and converted it into what he preached in Greece when he returned. He actually... Yeah, I'm sorry.
Was it Pluto that went down there that learned Egyptian, or is it?
Maybe that's a. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Inanna also goes into places and comes back with knowledge.
I forget which one it is, but I think it's Plato that goes down there and spends like 10 years learning from.
It was Thales. It was actually maybe Plato also went, and there might have been other philosophers that made the journey. But Thales of Miletus was the first one, and I think I told you like a while back, maybe in a conversation we had that, or maybe it was a conversation I had with DC. The Thales of Miletus was known to be. He had gone to 22 schools. He spent 22 years in Egypt. And there were 42 knowns, or what they call temples, if you will, knowledge based on gods and goddesses. And they protected and gave the wisdom of those knowledge of those people, of those beings. But with Thales, I made a joke with my friend when I was talking to him, that maybe he flunked out at 22 schools in Egypt because he kept on coming to the point where maybe after the first year, you take the opposites and you kind of fuse them. He couldn't do that. And so for the whole of the Western project, the 2,500 years of philosophy, they've always been trying to do this spirit versus matter, this male versus female, this endless dichotomy that never resolves. Duality that can't become one. We need the ability for duality to become I'm not sure to say it, but unity, and then come back to duality and having the ability to see both at once. You made this point too. I was talking about the darkness and the light earlier in the conversation with you, and you were right to say that they're both related, that you can't speak of light or darkness without the other one, which is a very interesting concept.
Because if you think about it, it says in the Bible like my friend told me specifically, and I read it in the Kabbalah and a few other places, that at the beginning there's nothing but a dark void of nothingness.
Right.
So the grand architect is what I'll call him. He decided to start creating something, but it was an endless void of nothingness.
Right.
So for you to say darkness is bad, you are completely, really disconnecting yourself from the architect, the grand creator who started everything.
Right.
You kind of get what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think that, yeah, go ahead.
Light came. And then light came, and then creation came, and then so forth and so forth. Everything started spurting like a garden, like seeds. God just took a bunch of seeds and threw it down and perfectly and watched it all grow.
Yes.
Which is us.
Yes.
That's actually a metaphor for the Gospel of Thomas.
It is, and that's great. I also has parallels to the old Egyptian thoughts, Kemetic thoughts, of the nun, N-U-N. The known. I can't remember with the exact word, but it's the place it's that chaos of darkness before anything had been created, and then it be Anu, I think, was the one who kind of created the first things out of that. He was in that pantheon would be analogous to your grand architect idea. Go ahead, friend.
Yeah, no, I was looking at something. That's fine. No, damn, I lost my thought in the conversation.
Oh, that's okay. I'll wait for you.
I just saw something that baffled me right now. That's why.
Oh, okay. Feel free to share it. Yeah.
So kind of lead me back to it.
Well, of course, friend. Really, we were on the concept of duality, was the thing you had just been on.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, light and dark. Okay, yeah. Because, like we both said, the dark void, which is the war. This is where I'm going to take this, and I don't like putting terms in male and female. But you put this across to me earlier as well, and we both agreed on this. That was the womb.
Yes, it was a womb.
What does a woman hold?
Right.
A man puts his life, his creation, his seed into the woman, and life creates. Woman is the womb.
Right.
She's the holder of everything.
Really, and then looking at it that way, if you look at it really triply, everything in us, whether we're male, female, trans identities, or intersex identities, wherever we come from, we are all from the woman who is our mother, and therefore the universe is feminine. The universe, everything in us, including the most masculine part of us, is feminine, which I think is an interesting.
Yep.
Right. So then if you look at it from the perspective you're saying from the seed is also the God of light, and the idea of that concept, that's that thing be interacting with that flesh of mother. The interaction of that is our life. The fact that I'm talking in the way of that is just to see the two of them interacting in my speech. The same as when you listen and you'll say what you say will be from that same position, where it's going to be the spirit and mother and father interacting together at the same moment is our consciousness in our life.
Yep.
And the duality of that becomes one in us as we work out the duality in everyday moments.
Yeah, who knows? This might be just a school of duality. We graduate and go to a nicer plane of existence.
Totally.
You know what I mean? People say heaven or hell. I don't really believe in heaven or hell. What is the hell? Once again, was you read a lot of it was Hellenized in Europe. Once again,
right?
It was colonized in Europe, but it's. Man.
Go ahead, Brent.
It's not really. I lost my train of thought in the middle of the conversation.
That's okay. Backtrack if you want. Say something else, or I'll take it and we'll move it to somewhere.
Okay. Like, for instance, here goes a good topic. Because I was going to say, like, for instance, Sophia. The creation of Sophia. Sophia gave birth to Yaldabaoth. She basically gave birth to half of herself. I can't say light or dark, but that's what they call the demonic side of herself.
Right.
The ambitions of control and the ambitions of lust and basically the 7 deadly sins, let's just say.
I see, yes.
And then he resumed control over everybody, you know, because he was the creator. Through him being created, so Sophia, he was using Sophia's power, and Sophia dimmed instead of him.
She lost her light instead of him.
Well, she didn't lose her light. She lost a considerable amount of it, from what it says.
I see.
And she still has light. He's always chasing after her to try to get the rest of it, because by blowing the breath into us, he depleted himself. So he's always after chasing the light.
So she gave light to him, he gave light to us when he breathed into Adam of this clay, and then he wants it back, is what you were saying in the early conversation today. We were having a conversation.
Yeah, that's what the Gnostic scrolls talk about.
Well, you go ahead. I got something on that.
But then you have the Book of Enoch that nobody even mentions.
Yes.
And from there, actually, in the Book of Enoch, it talks about the elves. Samael. Hey, well, there's a bunch of other elves, too. Ozariel. They all end with elves, and they're like...
Raphael and... Yeah.
And it talks about...
Michael is an elf.
Yeah. They call those the Elohims.
I'm listening.
Because if you in that book, they're gay. What really intrigues me is the third book of Enoch, when they talk about Megatron's cube. And in Megatron's cube, if you look at it, it looks just like the Tree of Life. It's the Tree of Life that branches out.
I want to say something quickly before you go on with it. So this will be something that I think we put on as the thumbnail of the video for people to see. There's an interesting connection between hopscotch, which is a children's game that people played years ago when we were kids, and probably have been played for hundreds of years, or some version of it, and the Tree of Life from the Kabbalah and related things.
To the hopscotch, yeah.
Yeah, you wanted to talk to that and then maybe continue what you're saying, or both.
Well, look at the hopscotch. The hopscotch in the Tree of Life start off 1, 2, and then they have 3 to the left and 4 to the right. Nothing in the center, just like the Tree of Life, because everything connects through those first 2. And then you have 5 in the center, and then you have 6 and 7, and then you have 2 more in the center. They all line up as like the Tree of Life.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. I'll send you that.
Just send me that, and I'll put it up on the. So folks who have had a chance to listen to this video of us speaking about things, should have the thumbnail is probably what you first saw when you looked at it. It's this is the point where Brother Anthony can talk about that. So I was keep going, friend. I'm sorry.
Well, Megatron's cube. Let's start off with Megatron first. Where does he come from?
Right.
What is his role? Well, it stems out from the tale of the Nephilims. Enoch, this is why it was banned, proclaims that he walked with a god.
Right.
You know? So, in his story, in his scroll, or his apocryphon, which is his apocalypse, you know what I mean, like his visions and stuff like that.
Right.
Because a lot of the stuff we do is a lot of apocryphon literature, which a lot of people don't realize. The whole Christian Bible is apocryphon literature.
For sure.
It's about people having visions and dreams, and you know what I mean. Seeing God.
And they never see. Everyone's so staid and like proper with the Bible. It's actually it's a very fun, exciting thing to read some of these, even any kind of way, because you really see that it's a very trippy world. So go on to say.
Well, Enoch went. I can't remember the angel, but a particular angel came down. It might have been one of the 4 ones that we know of. You know, Michael, Raphael, or one of them.
Yes.
The story goes they came down, and Enoch left with them to heaven. And the angels were actually cursing Enoch for being there because he wasn't supposed to be there. And he bear witness to the Nephilim of the devastation that they brought to the planet.
Huh.
So by him bearing witness to this, he was granted or transformed, as the scrolls say, into an angel.
Nice.
So he never tastes death at all. He went straight from a human to an angel. Not just any angel. And a lot of people don't know this. He's the sage of the angels, meaning he's like the high priest.
Wow.
All right, and he has many other names, but I don't know why they chose Megatron. All right, so he became, and to me it runs parallel with the Jesus story.
Yes.
Because Jesus proclaims to sit at the right-hand side of God. Well, hundreds of years before that, in the book of Enoch, it says Enoch was transformed into an angel and given a seat on the right-hand side of God. Y'all can look this up and read it yourself. I'm not making this up.
No. I hear what I'm listening.
He was given the scribe. He's supposed to write down everything and create rituals and everything. So, like, he was giving the highest honor above all angels. So he was put higher than all the other angels. Like, he can go directly into the dimension and talk to you.
Wow.
So they proclaimed him to be the lower Yahweh.
I see.
So he's the lower God.
So following your parallel, the allegory of the Jesus story, you know, the figure of the Christ who Rabbi Jesus becomes is like the lower Allah, if you will. I mean, like, because we go through him, we can then become the upper Allah, become the whole Allah, become all of it. In other words, that the older story, the Enoch, is kind of showing an older story that parallels that story and reinforces it.
It's kind of like they took and get someone out of that, and they're like, "Hey, this looks cool. Let's." You know what I mean? Like, they pulled out of it to push, because in the Greek world, Plato basically says, well, we want to make this one image of God that's all good and all great, and no evil, no define, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, and you can look it up in Plato. And Plato wrote the rules about how to write a religion too, as well. Him and all the scholars before him. Because remember, I think it was Hesiod and who else they were worshiping? Hesiod and
Homer. Orpheus, really. Orpheus, Odysseus.
So, Homer was considered the first savior religion.
Well, no, Orpheus also had that aspect.
But if you really want to dig down, you have to go to the Persian Gulf and go and look at Zoroaster. And what they did over there, which was thousands of years before. They were actually, I believe, the first monotheistic religion.
I believe that's right.
Because, like, you got Zoroaster, which is the face of a king, almost like. You know what I mean? With the wings.
Right.
That's a Hora Mazda. You see that somewhat in Egypt too, here and there. It pops up. And then you have his counterparts. And that's what I mean by, like, you have Hora Mazda, which is good, and you have the counterpart, which is bad, and you have the one above them. You can't have good and bad without something above them that unifies them. So, and that's just the way I look at things. Everything's got to be like, you go to the East, in India, China, and Buddhism, Taoism, all of that. They all talk about the two fishes that chase each other, yin and yang.
The duality, which is very central to Taoism. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. This is very lovely. Ahriman is interesting as a bad guy because it's for Zoroastrianism, because his real reality is
Ahriman. Yeah, there you go.
Ahriman. He was called the Lie. So it's not. So our Mazda or Hora Mazda was seen as the light. Also, like obviously, I've seen that eagle or whatever. I mean, the bird-like figure. But also, he also is simply the light in the fire. And then
sounds like Lucifer.
Weirdly, right? So like Ahura Mazda is the good guy, but he's light. The bad guy is simply the lie, which is, it could be any lie, but the idea of the lie would be all the lie at once, I suppose. And it would be therefore
not telling the truth, period.
Right. Yeah, and then because of that, you could branch off. I remember years ago, I had I was speaking to people and also having stories I wrote about the concept that the lie could be simply stated as we are worthless or meaningless or something, and that might be the lie that God doesn't want us to have.
And not only that, what's pretty cool is they keep a chastity, like a cup, a golden cup, or
a chalice, yeah.
And they burn. I don't know exactly what they burn in there, but they burn stuff in there, and they keep the fire going constantly. The fire never dies.
I've heard that.
To them, it symbolizes the light of divinity within all.
Which is interesting because, years and years later and cultures later, the Christian candle that's in the Catholic Church, at least, they always have a candle all the time, which is supposed to be the symbol of God being there. Now, I don't know if they know for sure that, it's a direct relationship to Zoroastrianism, an older religion, but it can't not be related to it. The idea
because a lot of the concepts you find in Christianity sounds like they come from Zoroastrian, just with an outer version. Hora Mazda's up in the sky, and Ahriman's under the ground. Like, that doesn't make the underworld is where you go and get judged. The Egyptians say you go there, you get judged.
Right.
And then you take wherever they send you, through what door they send you through. You go through that door and you go into another plane of existence. You know what I mean? After you meet Mat, or Mayat, whichever, which is the scale where you get weighed.
Yeah.
Because that's what she is, the scale, the literal scale of justice.
I have that
symbol.
I have that tattooed on my right arm.
And then you go into the underworld. The Sumerians got something similar. Like, for instance, we were talking about Inanna.
Yes.
Inanna, which is Ishtar, has a counterpart down there.
It was a Rishkigal?
Rishkigal is her sister.
And she gets into a confrontation with the Rishkigal down there. And Rishkigal defeats her and hangs her up on like a cross almost on the wall.
On a hook. Well, what she does is Ishtar decides she wants to go down there and try to take Ereshkigal's power. But Ereshkigal makes her go through the 7 gates, and she makes her take off 7 clothing before she can enter. Well, the 7 clothing was all Ishtar's power. Her crown, her objects that she was given by.
Right. there's a section where the hero of our series, Aurelia, goes into the sixth codex, sixth book, and goes through that experience where she goes through all the different gates, getting to find. That's the story where she interacts with Jesus as the mother of Jesus in a scenario that's run in the various kind of parts of the series. I just wanted to put that in there because I've been very interested in those gates. There's another story we talked about that had those gates. A friend of mine who, I'm not sure if she has survived, but she was a friend of mine years ago who had a lot of trouble. I was part of the story where she also had gone through all that to get to wisdom. The idea of the feminine superheroic deities, it's really older religions would still have the power of women to have those kind of agency. And it was later on, again, we talked from the beginning of this conversation about the Greco-Roman pantheon, kind of deliberately went out of their way to sabotage women's power, whether it was Hera or having to look on and see Zeus do what he wants and feel bad, or if it's Athena not having full development because she's part of Zeus's head, really, or Aphrodite just getting all the trouble in the world for being who she is. And there really weren't a lot of other women characters that had a lot of agency, but they're always being beaten down and put down.
Like, for instance, Mary Magdalene.
Right, Mary Magdalene, right on, from the Nazarene Christian. Yeah.
She was portrayed as a whore, but really was the apostles of apostles.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing that I think is interesting, how the devil and God and the goddess can work together. Even though that might have been a slander, what if it was true? Would it not make that and, sex work not a disqualifier, but maybe that's part of the point of the whole story. If you look at like the sex workers in the older Bible, the Hebrew Bible, Rahab was extremely essential for the people to have Jericho. If they didn't have Jericho, they would have died out in the plain. There was a sex worker named Rahab, and she became a very loved person in the Bible. Was even called, I think in Matthew 1:5 says that she was an ancestor of Jesus. So I'm just saying, even though it's a slander, and obviously the male writers at the time were trying to put her down, in a way she kind of uses triumph, and we still see her as the apostle of apostles the more we read about her. But that I just had to go on that.
Does her gospel mirrors the Gospel of Thomas?
Yes, it does.
It's the second half of the Gospel of Thomas. It actually, in that version, it actually tells you how to escape or how to conquer duality that you made.
Yes.
All right. So, and she was the first one to see Jesus Jesus resurrected.
Yes.
All right. When she went to go to anoint him, his body.
Yes.
None of the other apostles got to see that.
Right.
So she received the message direct. This is what the gospel's telling us, right?
Definitely. That's right, Frank. You're absolutely right. Because, yes, right.
That would make her the leader.
It is. Brother, would you be interested in doing a little thing about the Gospel of Mary Magdalene maybe after we do the rest of our series on the Gospel of Thomas?
Oh, yeah, I don't mind it. I actually love that. Gospel's kind of confusing, but it's beautiful. It's like, you could tell like it's a free, even though you only get partial of it, like you could tell that it has freedom to it. Like, it's not only freeing, but it's empowering, That's what makes that gospel so interesting.
Well, it's interesting at the end of the gospel, there's a part where she has, spoken of all the things that Jesus had talked to her. And Peter, who's just, if he was a historical figure, he was a historical figure that is well known as a kind of a misogynist, sexist old man. Like, he just does not like women. And he's mad at Jesus for liking women. And he just, every time any of the gospel writers say anything about it, whether they're canonical or Gnostic, you get this feeling of that kind of man. And he yells at her so bad that she cries. And some other guy who may have had a gospel or not, his name was Levi, although I think it's interesting that Levi and Simeon were the two brothers that killed the Hivites in chapter 34 of Genesis to avenge Dinah, right? The raped girl. So like the two brothers of the raped girl, one of them was named Levi. Anyway, a guy named Levi who stood up and said, Peter, you're like with the enemy. You're like putting her down the way the enemy puts us down. She just said the greatest thing. And it took a man, really, to stand up to a man at the end of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene for the book to stand, which is a statement about how sexist the world then and now is, which is why what we're doing, brother, is so good. I'm grateful that we have this direction of bringing the feminine back.
Not just that, they stood up for, they kind of, if you look into the Gnostic tradition, they kind of took off all together on a basis of a church in the same vision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Thomas and all of them. Because Thomas was the one who wrote the Gospel of Thomas, which is kind of interesting because in Greek, Thomas means twin.
Right, which means,
you know what I mean?
What you explained is the twin self that he's going to show you through Jesus. He's the twin of Jesus.
What I think it is I think it's the twin self of Jesus. He's telling you about the shadow self.
Right.
The side that you deprive and you don't know it's that, it's that, it's that. In all the reality, it's the most primal form of yourself.
Yes.
It's the divine form. It's the beginning of that form of before creation. That power, that, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I look at people too, as far as like witches are bad, like, and not necessarily.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
right.
Solomon himself was doing it.
Witchcraft. Yeah. Obviously, King Saul.
I mean?
King Saul specifically talked to the witch of Endor, and she helped her.
Not only that, supposedly he got a ring from Yahweh, being able to command all the demons.
Oh, wow. Love.
So, and that was the seal of Solomon. That's what they call the seal of Solomon. The ring with the seal on there. The 6-point star with the pentagram right in the center.
6-point star and a 5-point star. You had told me during a conversation we had earlier today that the 6-point star has a thing of the Father, like the God, and the 5-point star has a thing of the goddess or the woman
of the earth.
Power.
Yeah. It's like one represents the sky and the other one, because the sky father,
right,
which is the masculine, he's the masculine, and then you have mother, which is the earth. It's the root of your body, the primus, you know what I mean?
Right, right.
Because, and he say, we were made from clay and then breath was blown in us. So our bodies itself are made out of the mother earth.
I love this. That's one of the things I said at the beginning of the church experience 10 years ago when we started this church. The idea that the dust in the hands of God in the beginning of Genesis had a gender and had a reality, which is Mother Earth. And the fact of Mother Earth in our bodies, and the fact of the Spirit of God, and the fact that they shouldn't fight each other. That is the whole point of this church. And I'm so grateful to explore this stuff with you, because that's what I hope to have more people see. Yes, you can fight on one side or the other. You can say only God and have nothing to do with sexuality and nothing to do with women's rights and nothing to do with gay people and nothing to do with freedom and for all people. You could get really crazy, become demonic in that serving of God. You could do the same with goddess. Not caring about, anything long term or nothing, not trying to do justice, just do what feels good. That can go that way too. But if you get them together, then you have justice and love, then you have father and mother, then you have a united thing, which could be us.
Yeah, balance.
A balance of the duality.
Yeah, because in a certain sense, the father at times gets rah, 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 and they want to battle. And the mother comes in and they nurture that, calm down, bro. Stop that serious. Relax. Let's think about this logically.
Right.
And then you calm down and then you actually start thinking about things. It's that inner calmness that, that can calm you. Just like a lot of people don't think breath work. Breath work is everything when you meditate.
Yes.
Because otherwise, you're just sitting there. You know what I mean? Like, you have to feel that breath go all the way down into your root chakra, which is your genitals.
Right.
And then exhale all of it out, and you'll feel the flow tingle above your head into your crown chakra. That's how you know you're doing it right.
Right. Which is, we talked about the Kundalini snake. We talked about the tree of life. We talked about all that stuff as being the spine. We talked about the 7 chakras as being the seven churches in the Revelation, and in fact, the 7 heads of the bad dragon. So if it isn't done right, it becomes evil. But if it is done right, it's freedom.
Yeah, absolute freedom. That's just like a lot of people got this notion that Lucifer's evil.
Right.
Dude, he's a light bearer. That means when they said there shall be lights, she was him and the Holy Spirit popped out.
Yes.
Because, or in the Greek terms, I like to use Greek terms, Logos and Zoe came out. So you have 2 beings that are counterparts to each other. All right, one's light, the other one is earthly. You know what I mean? Dark.
Yes. Or yang and yin. Yang and yin is that, like the feminine, the masculine, and the feminine.
So, and that's where just light appeared. Then life has to appear too, because without light and life, because life gives light.
Yes.
You can't have light without life.
Right.
So I don't know if that came out 100% properly, but
I love what you said. There's a lot of I know what you said. That's really what we keep coming back to is various ways that from theology, from mythology, from history, from philosophy, from each other's experience, from the scripture, from all kinds of ways of seeing it. So the similar principle that we're trying to unify the different forces that make us be. So if it's going to be a question of go all the way to this extreme, go all the way to that extreme, even that can be ridden through if you're practicing a Buddhist way through it, a non-self way. You are therefore riding the energy of up and down your spine, for instance, or in the world of everyone together, really experiencing the sky and the earth becoming one on the horizon, and that's us. Like we're rising from that, which is a beautiful concept.
it is. A lot of it comes to, the thing is, we refer a lot to the East because these concepts are reserved there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When they came and colonized a lot of these places, they destroyed a lot of it because they just wanted the world to see it in their version. They never gave anybody an opportunity to see it in other perspectives. And if they did, they were brutally hung, beaten, or burnt at a stake by the Romans.
Yes.
That's just the way at that time it was.
Well,
they wanted it their way, and that was it.
This is what I would say to anyone out there who doesn't like what we're doing, or is afraid of the kind of things that sound heretical. This is the only time in history that we've had so much communication between all kinds of people in the world. So if we could find a way to tolerance, and I would say that, I'm trying to be tolerant and listening to the different kinds of Nicene Christians. If you listen to what we're talking about, Gnostic, in other ways of liberation from what we got, this is the only time in history that we've actually got all of this coming together in a way that we could get to the point of not judging the stranger, even though we're all the stranger, we're all Jesus, and we're all part of this interaction between masculine and feminine forces and other forces that come out of those two. And I'm grateful to you, Anthony, for just constantly, being able to be, a source of this knowledge and able to be a kind of a comrade to me about my journey, which has always been to try to bring, righteous and justice and love to the women as well as the men, to liberate all people and not try to be on one side or another of a thing. We should get everybody to realize that we're all special and different. No one person's at all like any other person. And that's why we're in the image of God. That's why there's 8 billion of images of God, not just one. So how can any one thing be right or wrong? Wow, that was a lot. Sorry, I was on.
That's pretty much what I'm saying. Like, you got the Buddhists and the Eastern that teach you meditation. They're teaching you the key.
Yes.
Christianity is teaching you how to do things in certain senses.
Yes.
And, other religions add on certain perspectives. And when you bring them together, they're all kind of keys to the same place.
Yes.
The only thing is I think Christianity is a little too extreme about certain things, like our church formal Christianity that they teach to everybody, mainstream. Nicene Christianity.
So,
they're a little extreme about things. Oh, don't look here, don't look there. What are you afraid of?
Right.
You're afraid that there's things that you're going to find out that ain't exactly what was told to you. Then what do? You deny it?
Right.
You take it in as the truth. Like, what I said, for instance, most of the target of the people that were targeted were the Gnostics.
Yes.
And the pagans later on.
Yes.
Because the pagans didn't get it until later on. After, a bunch of other councils were there. And Constantine didn't care about the pagans. They just wanted to get rid of the Gnostics.
Right.
I find it funny because it's like, why are you trying to get rid of the Gnostics unless the Gnostics are actually telling the truth and you're trying to hide it?
Yes, yes.
So it gets real hazy. Well, it doesn't get hazy. It's like you end up having to either jump a line or sit there and figure out what's what and put them both together. Because you really won't realize what's really going on until you take the New Testament and you bring it with the Gnostic scrolls. And then you start to understand certain things that you really see where man had their footprint in there.
Yes.
Like, for instance, follow your slave master. Don't argue with him. Don't fight with him. Just do what he tells you.
Right.
Turn the other cheek. Well, in a certain sense, yeah, you can turn the other cheek, but when are you actually gonna stand up for yourself? Because in a certain sense, when you continue to turn the other cheek, you start to become a doormat for other people.
Well, one thing I would say about that particular, I agree with you 100%. One thing to defend that particular idiom that Jesus used, if you were to get slapped in those days, they'd probably slap you with their left hand because they're trying to, like you're trying to say, the left hand is what you use to, wipe your ass when you went to the bathroom. The right is what you use to eat. And so that was how people did things. So if they slap you with their left hand, it would hit you in a way. If you turn the other cheek, it makes them have to hit you with their right hand, which is the concept that, even though Martin Luther King didn't single-handedly give us the freedom that people had, obviously you had Malcolm X and Sophia Carmichael, lots of people in the movement that had various politics. But the peaceful freedom of the peaceful movement of turning the other cheek and actually getting hit and stuff, with the concept of other people like Malcolm X saying, "Hey, I'm not gonna turn the other cheek at you at all. I'm gonna fight you." Having the two kind of good cop, bad cop approach actually got the legislation and the freedom and the changing of the culture, which is now being pushed back by these nasty people in power now. But to have the ability to see that if you command people to respect you and you keep putting your face in their face. I actually had an experience where I was being attacked by someone, and one of the ways I got they backed down was to keep putting my face in their face, looking them directly in the eye and not cowering. And even though they were trying to attack me, they basically were intimidated by that and they kind of left me alone. That's what I'm saying. Just to defend Jesus, because you're right, you're absolutely right that the way people have taken that scripture to mean basically get hit in the face and go cower and let them do it. which is unfortunately exactly, I agree with you 100%. That is the very wrong way to see Christianity or any religion of freedom or liberation. We need to be a kind of a people that can unite these religions and all the good in all of them, so that we can stand up for ourselves and stand up for, people who don't have power that we might have, or power that we, have been denied, like, women in general are they're talking about making it so they can't vote anymore, man. This is a kind of blasphemy that's coming to power now.
Yeah, like for instance, this is a concept comes straight out the Bible from Jesus. We cannot take this world by force.
No.
We need to change it from within. Meaning we all need to change from within and head and push for something new and different. You know what I mean? For a better world.
Yes.
These people, the people that are in structure and power are people who are trillionaires.
Yes.
They own the system.
Yes.
So, and they own the militaries, and they own all the fucking companies that build weapons and shit like that.
Yes.
So, like, to try to force their hand when their hand is, their cards are 4 aces, for instance. What could be 4 aces? Well, a royal flush. So you better start changing within and changing everything around you to suit and to fit what our image of this planet is. Their image is to keep us where we're at.
Right.
Our image is to free and live, and if we feel like living in a house, we'll live in a house, and if we feel like living on a teepee, we live in a teepee. We don't have no laws to follow, don't get me wrong, it's not right to kill, but if you change the world in such a sense where there's no need for it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if everybody has compassion and love for one another, why would we be killing each other?
I think if we could really share what we have and do it in a way that isn't intimidated by whatever the new head of the department says, but we stay in what we're doing, wherever we end up, and to have the basically occupy what we already have, to be like the Occupy movement of 15 years ago, have that be guided by this principle you're saying, like, that we should all be striving for a better world and not just trying to hit somebody back or whatever, or stand up and get it, but to do something further than that, to do something bigger than that, is really the coming of Christ to all of us. Like, we become the second coming ourselves, whether or not Jesus ever comes in a light or not,
By doing that, we change ourselves within, and we start changing everybody around us. So, at the end of the day, the light, you need to activate your light. Once you activate your light within you, or you find it, you start to flow in a certain sense where everybody, like, for instance, if I come into a room and people see me, there's people that would love me or they curse me.
Right.
All right? And I get this a lot, where I could be sitting in a crowd of people that, talking to people, and somebody will just come out with some way off the wall, discriminational type of shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, like, grow the fuck up. Like, At the end of the day, like, you have a cat at home.
Yes.
You love your animal, right?
Definitely.
You love yourself.
Definitely.
All right? That animal, for instance, comes from the same place you come from.
Right.
They both love, they communicate with each other, we communicate with each other. We all come from the same source. We're all quantum entangled, is what I say. Meaning it's everybody's connected. That animal's connected to me. That animal loves, I love. I love that animal loves me. We're the same.
Definitely.
In that sense. We're all the same. We're not. We're just put in different colored cups.
Definitely.
We're all water, but people can't see that their color on their cup is red.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the next person to them is black. Well, I'm red. I don't like you because you're black. What the fuck? We're all the same, bro. You look inside the cup, it's not but water.
Right. I love that.
You know?
I love
That's
that.
just like I love the concept that the whole universe is made of water.
I love that too.
Because water is transmutable. It changes forms. It does all types of things. Like, for instance, water comes from the sky. Clouds make rain. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Air is a form of water. It's just small particles flying around. You know what I mean?
Which brings us to the thought we were having earlier that in a way we are in a very feminine universe. We're in the womb right now. And then what we come from in the next part of it is us born into that new place. But then that will be a womb too, because it's all in the same concept. The darkness and the water being a good place to maybe we'll end it here if it's okay, because we got just past an hour, friend.
Yeah, but I have to get ready for bed too, because I wake up super early.
Well, God bless you.
Some stuff set us back, but bless us.
Bless us too, and bless us.
With us.
Peace with us.
We made it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited, Sid.
I'm excited too, brother Anthony. You're so great, and I appreciate what you've done. There's a lot of really great things here. I just want to say, I'll probably send me that thing with the hopscotch and the tree of life. I'm going to put that up, and if it fits, I'll use it as a thumbnail. Otherwise, if you hear this and it's not the same thumbnail, then I put something else up because it didn't fit for digital reasons. But I think that we should.
I'm gonna try to add it to Discord.
Okay.
Send it to you through Discord.
Send it in text. Send it in text
so
too,
that way you
friend.
can see it.
Oh, do that too. Yeah, send it to my text too, and then I'll send it up.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Well, Brother Anthony, is there anything you want to
Anthony.
say at the end? Because I'm gonna probably shut it off right and say bless us, bless our church, bless our communities and families, and bless all you folk out there who are listening. Because we love you deeply, and we want you to love yourselves and love Allah.
And peace be with you guys.
Peace be with you.
I didn't make you.
What do you say?
What?
Does Gabriel or Angel say something?
Oh, he's across the room from me fucking playing video games.
Oh, okay, well, God bless them too. Say blessings to them too from me. We'll talk soon, Anthony. God bless you.
What's up? God bless you too.